When it comes to cooking meals, drying clothes, heating water, and my home, nothing beats natural gas from CenterPoint Energy. It's my most affordable energy option. It costs less to use than electricity, propane, and heating oil. So if you already have natural gas, keep it. If you're replacing an appliance, choose it. Natural gas, your best choice. Safe and affordable, rest assured.
For more on the benefits of a natural gas home, visit centerpointenergy.com/natural gas benefits. CenterPoint Energy, always there.
All right, we're here. Okay, so we were off a day with projected storms Saturday. We went on last Friday because of that, and track meet potentially being moved to the indoor. So we went Friday night, which was good just for a different time with them, but did put them back-to-back practices and then a longer break. So back to work. We're struggling with some injuries, which is normal a lot of times. As you get back to work, into practice, football movements, and trying to get everybody's reps. So we'll keep pushing along.
Parrish, go ahead and start us off.
Lane, what have you seen from Matt so far this spring?
He's done well. I think he's kind of going, which is normal. He's a returning starter now, which he's never been. So, now you kind of, expect more of him. And, instead of just playing quarterback now, especially with a lot of guys out, he's got some newer people running around out there. So lining those guys up and helping those guys and having a better understanding of the entire offense instead of just what he needs to do, has been a good progression for him.
When he got going in a couple of those multi-interception games, only two, was that an example of him needing to grow mentally as he described to us? Or was that kind of a gunslinger mentality that as a coach you just know is there sometime?
No, I think that's a product of him being young. And I think that's a product of us, working with him for the first time, having obviously no seasons before, let alone even spring game, spring scrimmages. So, I think that we have a better understanding of him and, would call if that, history were repeating itself in a game, we would call things a little bit different, knowing that he has that in him. So I think just like with all your players, as you have a better understanding, the longer you've been with them, especially at quarterback, the better that they play and the better that you manage them.
Thank you,
David.
Lane, with John Rice being mostly with baseball this spring, what can you find out about the quarterback 2 position with Kincaid Dent and Luke Altmaier out there throwing this spring? What do you hope to find out about that, considering John Rice is not there a lot?
Yeah, that's the give and take with the other sport, and so it's great, keeps you competitive year round, and able to do more for the school. But at the same time, obviously, missing spring, especially for a quarterback, is difficult. He was around this morning, saw him and brought him in, just met with him, checked in with him, and talking about baseball, playing so well, and different things. And so with anything, whether it's an injury or something like that, that opens opportunities for others. I think both quarterbacks have done a good job. Kincaid, is very talented. And Luke coming in, has done a good job, which is very hard for a guy that, we always forget, because everybody's mid-years nowadays, especially at that position, we forget that they're really finished up their senior year of high school.
You've got a right tackle spot to fill on that offensive line. Who are the top guys that you're looking at there, and what are some scenarios that could play out?
Well, Jeremy's been out there. That's probably the most natural move from a length standpoint, and someone that's played. But we have some young guys that we're moving around and looking at right and left, because we don't have a lot of experience, at tackle at all. So, that's really good for those guys to have a spring doing that and then play them at right and left. So, we can figure out who the best guys are.
Thanks, Lane.
Yep.
Neil. Go ahead, Neil.
Hey, Lane, I know you've got a handful of young guys that are out there that were, I guess, in high school back in December that they're with you for the first time. What do you try to get out of those guys in this spring? Is there just more acclimation, or is there a lot of development and evaluation that goes on?
It's a lot of everything. That's why a long time ago when it first started, we started to try to, get on kids early. Especially when we'd been at a place where we knew kids sophomore year that we were going to want, and get them on programs academically where they were graduating early, because it's so great on so many fronts. The obvious thing is football, that they got 15 practices and fourth quarter workouts, but academically it's great because, they get ahead at the end of in game, they graduate earlier, at the end of it. And I think fall is very difficult for true freshmen, because now they come in and you have everything at once. You've never gone to college, and now you're playing and you're traveling on the road, you're playing these big games, and you also are going to college for the first time. That's a lot. First semester for a normal student is a lot without a sport. So, to get a semester under their belt, I think is great for them.
And on a completely different subject, obviously with the NCAA tournament, there's a lot of talk about transfer portals, and basketball coaches talk about it. They refer to it as speed dating and that kind of thing. I know you've had more time with football, but how much time do you spend looking at the football transfer portal on a daily basis?
Well, we have people that do that. It's why you have a general manager and have personnel people. And that's why we've created a program like the NFL, knowing that, there are different, it is not the old days where, a lot of programs, all you did was recruit high school players. And, you have junior college players, you have grad transfers now, and you have normal transfers. So that's a lot to look at. And it's really why your personnel department becomes more valuable than it ever was before. So, those guys, we bring it up in staff when guys find guys that went in and cut them up and watch them and research them. But also it's different than like free agency, really, because you're so limited in your spots. You can't just, go sign a bunch of guys as long as you stay in a salary cap. Ours is very different because, I'm sure most people out there only have a few spots. And everybody doesn't become free agents at once, which is abnormal, because now, okay, do you see a guy you like, but do you take him knowing that there's a very good chance there may be better players coming after spring going in the portal? So it's a lot, I think it's a lot more thought goes into it now than ever before.
Thank you.
John, go ahead.
Lane, what have you kind of seen from the receiving core this spring so far, and what has kind of impressed you about those guys?
I think last thought on Neil's question, that it really, I think you'll see programs now that, like in the NFL, you say, hey, these guys build through the draft, these guys build through free agency. I think that you'll actually see that as you have a few years to study how programs do it. And I think you'll see, how success comes on what, and then people will start moving that direction based off of what happens. So, John, at the receivers, we have a lot of guys in and out, with small injuries. Obviously, Mingo and Braylon out with bigger ones. Mingo actually came back and did some individual stuff today. So it's kind of a lot of younger, newer faces out there. And so just trying to work best with what we have, because I think it will obviously look different in the fall. And you have a couple incoming guys that may play for you also.
And quick follow-up from that. Last season, you guys, and you mentioned it before, you had some losses where it was a one-score game and then just ultimately didn't end up going your way. What during the spring practice slate, like how can you kind of work on that type of stuff during spring, and like, can you even like address that during the spring, and how does that kind of help?
Well, you can start in workouts, that have already happened, in the fourth quarter workouts, and talking about, okay, hey, look how we're finishing here. All right, we only have 2 stations left. This is similar to LSU Auburn games, like how are you going to finish this? And that's the difference in winning and losing. And so it was good to have games that were so close that they got to see how close they were, that it really does come down to one play here or there, but it may be plays happened way earlier in the game. So I think it's kind of easy to point to by the way that you finish things.
Go to Nick.
Lane, when you have a position group like the secondary, where I think you have all of your returning starters and then also 7 or 8 mid-year guys, what are you looking for in that group with so many new bodies and returning bodies?
First, to find the best players, then to, develop depth, because, we played too many snaps last year, which is part of not getting off the field, but it's also individually not having quality depth to where, you're rotating guys as much as you like. And so I think that's the evolution. Everyone talks about offense, evolution of defense. I think most really good defenses, I bet, when you look at it, they rotate players at some point because it's hard, especially if you're playing faster offenses. Which you see another one coming in the conference, with Tennessee, can't play 80 plays. You can't play at a high level. So, depth is huge, especially back there where your mileage is a lot higher because you're running around so much and playing special teams.
It's a really unique situation with DeAndre Prince. Just what is it like? I know you didn't have him when he was here last, but having somebody returning to a team.
Well, it's not that weird because we weren't here, when he played. I can see why they played him early like that. Very talented, very natural player. Obviously wish we would have had him last year. If you look at a position where we even moved, some offensive players to it. So it's good to have him.
Back to Parrish.
Lane, what are you seeing from your defensive line play right now?
I think, Sam is playing well. Need him to be more consistent. He's, one of the most talented players on our team. So he could really be a great player, puts it all together. And, we have some other young guys, doing a good job, like Clowney, like Cedric. So, just spring gives opportunity for a lot. We run 2 fields, so there's tons of reps for everybody.
Not specifically, Isaiah Iton, Jamon Gordon, how are those guys adjusting?
They have had injury issues, so have not done near as much as we'd like, through starting our second week here with them.
Back to David.
Lane, just your observations on the tight end position, what the goals are there this spring, and in particular, how Hudson Wolf is kind of fitting into the mix.
Yeah, unfortunately, Hudson's not practiced. Another injury issue. So hopefully he gets back out there. It's good to have DeMarcus back out there, and very talented young player. So, same thing. We're just trying to figure out by letting a lot of people rotate through there.
All right, final question goes to Neil.
Elaine, I hope I'm not beating this to death, but you piqued my curiosity a little bit. As you've had some time to look at the way transfer portal works and that kind of thing, do you think it's going to lead to you guys taking fewer high school guys each year and maybe saving more spots for the portal for free agency, if you will?
I think so. I think that probably depends where your program is. If you're up there where, you're one of those top 5 programs where you're signing a bunch of 5 stars every year and you're able to, sign 25, what you deem pretty special players, maybe then you don't. But I think, when you're trying to get to that level of, being a championship team and a great roster like those few schools have, I think that you do. I mean, I think you're going to see smaller signing classes because of it.
All right, Coach, thank you. Guys,
All
we'll
right,
have
guys.
Katie Robinson up shortly.